let's talk about why I threw away my yoga mat, my stripper heels, my tarot cards, my crystals, my alien papers when I came to Jesus. My name is Kelly. I'm a dating and relationship coach, and recently my husband and I posted our testimony. And in my testimony, I shared really briefly about throwing away all those items so that I could more fully follow Jesus. And some of you are asking why. So in this video, we're going to get into it. Before I get into that, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so that you can be notified of videos as they come out, because we are posting here much more often now. Okay, so throwing away my yoga mat, my stripper heels, all the rest of the things. The reason I didn't go into depth on this in our testimony video is because there was a bit of fear and discomfort for me, if I'm honest. Where I'm coming from in this journey to Jesus is really being in a world of new age spirituality beliefs. And really that's been my beliefs since I was a kid. That's kind of the beliefs I grew up with. And so this is drastically different. I never thought I'd be the person to say I'm not doing yoga anymore. I'm not pulling tarot cards anymore. Because there's been times in my life when I've been deep into those things, particularly deep into yoga and meditation and connecting to aliens, all these things that I've been super duper interested in the past. And what I'll say is that as I've gotten deeper and deeper onto this journey with Jesus, we'll rewind for a second. Let's go back to that spirituality, because I've always been a seeker. I've always been someone who wants to know the answers. The little girl who'd be sitting in the bookstore trying to figure out what religion I believed. And anyways, I say all that to say is that I've tried a lot of things. I've tried a lot of spiritual practices. I've tried a lot of different ways to connect with the divine, and I just want you to have that reference point. Now, when I went on this journey with Jesus, I had a lot of resistance at first, and you can listen to that in our testimony. But as I leaned into the journey more and more, I started having these incredibly profound experiences, feeling peacefulness, feeling the presence of God, hearing the voice of God, feeling very connected to Jesus, like literally feeling him with me, like living and with me in the very moment. And I was just shocked because it was the most profound spiritual experience I'd ever had. And I've spent a life of pursuing spiritual experiences. So I do not say this lightly. I've done plant medicine, I've done, psychedelics, I've done 33 days of fasting. Like, I'm pretty hardcore, I would say. And the point of that is just that this is a completely different experience, an experience of so much peace, of clarity, and of gentleness, and of just knowingness. And so as though that just began to just wash over me in waves, I just started to see more and more how little those things that I used to do ever really did for me. And not only that, but I started to learn about spiritual warfare and the light and the dark and Satan and God and the difference, and that Satan actually does exist. And within that, there's only one God, and there's only one path to God. And it's through Jesus. And I know that sounds so black and white. I know that sounds intense. And I'm just telling you, like, I've come to this after a lot of study and experience, just lived experience, like with Jesus, with God. And so I'm saying this with clarity and conviction. And I know if you're not on this path, that's going to sound super intense, but I'm here to tell you guys the truth that I've experienced. So anyways, anything that is not God and Jesus and within this realm is diluted. It is, what's the word? Twisted. And it's not the full truth. What I see now in some new age spirituality practices that I used to do is I was making myself God. Is that I was thinking I had to create my own reality. I was thinking that life was all about just making me happy. And what I see now is that I'd taken God out of a lot of the practices that I was doing, and I put myself in the God position, which is worshiping false idols. That's what they call it in the Bible, right? I was worshiping myself as an idol, as a god. And so that is twisted. That's dark. That's not the truth. And anyways, within that, I started to see where the practices that I had been doing were not leading me to more clarity. They were not leading me to more peace. They were not leading me to more love within my life. And I say that hesitantly because I'm not saying that the practices that I didn't offer me some type of relief, clarity at times, spiritual connection. But what I see now is it was just little baby like droplets of water. And then when I stepped into the Bible and Jesus and Christianity for what it really is, not the delusion I had of it before, but what it really is at its core, which is following Jesus, I got the whole ocean. I went from like little baby droplets of water, like trying to be satiated, hydrated through little baby drops of water, to then being drenched in the whole ocean, like deep within the ocean. And I'm like, wow, this is what I have been looking for. It's not the perfect analogy because you don't get hydrated from the ocean, but in a crystal clear lake, you guys get the gist. And anyways, that's even something Jesus talks about in the Bible, is that he's living water, right? And people who experience Jesus are like hydrated on a spiritual level forever. And I really feel that. So anyways, I started to see that those practices just were not serving me, and they were actually inviting confusion into my life, leading me further from God, and also darkness into my life. And so what I did was I cut up my alien papers. I really loved learning about aliens my whole life, but cut up my alien papers because I just was like, no, this is not it. This is not what I want to be worshiping. This is not what I want to be going towards. Cut up the alien papers. I threw away my yoga mat because yoga is a Hindu practice, and it is bowing down. When I researched more about it, right, it is like bowing down and yoking, connecting to different spiritual entities that aren't God, that aren't Jesus. And so I'm not interested in that. I threw away my stripper heels because I could see where I honestly never wore them, but they symbolically represented where I had been like using my sexuality, my sensuality to get attention, to get love, to be liked. Yeah, just anyways, chucked those because I'm not interested in that anymore. What else did I throw away? I had a bunch of crystal wands and like dildos, like crystal ones, that were really expensive and were a part of my journey at one point when I was doing like a lot of sexual healing work. And even within those, I just recognized where it's not, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to be sexually connecting to these crystals. Like, I only want to be connecting to anything in that way with my husband. And that just feels so right to me in this new context. So I threw those away. I had a little altar that I honestly kind of never used, but I just threw all that stuff away. Like my crystals, my tarot cards, like, I just see where tarot cards were looking to something besides God for clarity, and what I learned about tarot cards is that they can invite in different entities. Same as like Ouija boards, which I used to just do all the time when I was little. And they just invite in clarity and guidance from things that are not God. And I don't want that. And and I don't think crystals are in and of themselves bad. They're a part of the earth. But when I'm looking to a crystal to heal me, I'm giving the power of God to a crystal. I'm worshiping a false idol. And I stopped meditating in the mornings, and that was just because I replaced it with prayer. I replaced it with prayer and reading the Bible and worshiping, and honestly, just it made my life so much more clear, peaceful. It's made me more loving, kind, patient. And I can think of when I was meditating, it was always because I was trying to manifest something. And when I was in that energy of trying to have something that I wanted, that I didn't already have, it was like this angsty frustration feeling. And I'm really grateful to just have let that go really naturally, because I'm not interested in that. And yeah, and what I see is that the spiritual warfare is real. I didn't know what that meant before, but spiritual warfare is basically the fight for our souls between the light and the dark. And basically, I want to be in the light. I want to be following Jesus and God and getting the clarity from God directly from the source. And I can see that some of the things I was doing, I was following some of the principles of God or Jesus, but I wasn't deep in the real truth of it. And something that Jesus says in the Bible is, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody gets to the Father, aka God, but through me. And I used to think that was so intense, so black and white. I didn't believe it. It didn't feel right to me. And as I had the real felt experience of connecting with Jesus, I saw, oh yeah, I get that. And I don't want to be distracted by anything else. And I love the clarity and the simplicity of just Jesus, Bible. Follow Jesus. Jesus is God. And Jesus leads us to the Father. And so that's why I got rid of all my stuff at the base. And it wasn't just a getting rid of the stuff, but it was also moving towards. It's less about the getting rid of stuff, and it's more about what I was moving towards, because I really don't want to harp on or even be anti any of those practices, because I'm not. I'm pro Jesus, and what I'm clear that I'm stepping away from is confusion. And what I see before about my spiritual beliefs was that it was just like a hodgepodge of different ideas and books I had read, and I was always searching, where's the whole puzzle? I have all these random puzzle pieces, some fit together, some don't, but where is the whole puzzle? Where's the whole picture? Where's the whole clarity that I'm searching for? Maybe it's in this teacher, and maybe I haven't read enough books, and maybe I haven't meditated enough. And then I opened up the Bible, and I was like, here's the whole puzzle. Here's where all the clarity I've been looking for is coming from. And what I'll say is, if you haven't read the Bible, you have to read it to know what I'm talking about, because there's so much delusion surrounding Jesus, the Bible, sin, the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Gosh, I used to have so many misinterpretations about what the Bible was, who Jesus was, why there didn't seem to be any women in the Bible, and thinking it was just old, mistranslated. And genuinely, none of that is true. And there's so much deception surrounding the Bible, and I think it goes back to spiritual warfare and the darkness and Satan really fighting for our souls, for our attention, so that we don't go towards the way, the truth, the life, Jesus. So this is not to cast judgment on anybody. They talk about in the Bible to not judge anyone else, because if I'm pointing out the sawdust in someone else's eye, I'm not seeing the plank that's in mine. And I really want to say, I am not saying this to point at anyone and judge them. I'm not saying you're a sinner. What I know from reading the Bible is that we're all sinners. I'm a sinner. And what I'm worried about is how I'm sinning and clearing that out of my life. And all sin is ways that we get further from God. Lying, cheating, stealing, manipulating, not honoring our bodies, right? And it's things that most spiritual people actually would agree on. It's we have pieces to the puzzle. We're missing the entire puzzle. So even if you feel resistance to this, I have a prompt for you, because I know that if you're listening to this, you are in the practice of leaning into your triggers. What I recommend, what I suggest, what I invite you, what I challenge you to do is to pray in Jesus' name. Call on Jesus and ask him to reveal himself. Say, Jesus, if you're really the most high, like the most powerful name in the universe, show yourself to me, reveal yourself to me. And ask it from a genuine heart. Like, you have to ask from a place of genuinely wanting it. If you're just asking to try to prove me wrong or something, it's not going to work out. But if you genuinely ask and connect to God, Jesus says, if you pray anything in my name, I will make it happen. Like, what a powerful statement. It's worth trying. And the other thing I'll say is open up the Bible and read the gospel, the good news. Gospel means the good news. The good news is that Jesus came to save us all, to let us come to heaven with him and God, and to show a path out of confusion and darkness and suffering to salvation and harmony and peace. Now, does that mean that if you follow Jesus, your life's just going to be a piece of cake and you won't ever struggle? No, of course not. However, struggling with Jesus by your side is... you never get lost. You never get lost in the darkness like I know I used to at times. So there we have it. Read the gospel. What the gospel is the chapters in the Bible of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Get a translation that you can actually understand. Don't do New King James Version. Get NLT, get NIV, download the Bible app on your phone, watch The Chosen separately. This is a separate thing, so read the gospel. Watch The Chosen. It is a story of Jesus' life and ministry. And I just for the sake of being a spiritual seeker, like, lean in and see what comes of that. Because worst case scenario, you just get clear on how this isn't true or whatever. Or best case scenarios, you discover literally clarity, peace, truth, and the whole picture. So that's my challenge to you today. Thanks for tuning in. Would love to hear in the comments below. What are you taking away? What are you getting out of this? What are you triggered by that I said, if anything? What are you inspired by what I said, if anything? Go ahead and comment that below, and I'll see you in the next video.